Every single year, we do it. We convince ourselves the Masters is wide open, talk ourselves into a 60-1 long shot, fall in love with a debutante who just feels right, and every single year, we're wrong. Me especially. It's my penance for being so very right that one time. The Masters isn't random. And if you actually follow the trends, even just the last 10 years, you can eliminate almost the entire field before Thursday even starts. Now, are these trends actually predictive? God, no. And is this just a jinx so maybe one of my long shots can win? Maybe. That's not going to stop me from doing the Masters winning trends from the past 10 years to find the 2026 winner.
At Mayo Experience.
As always, smash a like, sub to the channel, give me your winner down in the comments section, and let's start with the most important rule. Trend 1, stop betting non-elite players. 10 of the last 10 Masters winners were all top 25 in the world rankings. 8 of 10, top 15. 6 of 10, top 10. That means my usual fun long shots, that never win by the way, basically DOA. Even our beloved Danny Willett, the outlier everyone brings up, he was 12th in the world when he donned sports' highest sartorial honor. The Masters isn't where guys break through. It's where the best players in the world win. Since Liv just started getting world rankings points this year, for the first time, I will allow a bit of a fudge and include number 28 ranked Jon Rahm, since he's clearly one of the 10, if not 3 best players on earth right now. And since I'm a magnanimous man, I'll even keep in 25th ranked Min Woo Lee in our potential winner pool. For now. But using this cutoff, we immediately lose some names that people are interested in this week. No Jordan Spieth. See, woo! Kim, he gone. Patrick Cantlay, Brooks Koepka, Shane Lowry, Jake Knapp, the Højgaards, Adam Scott, and Jason Day are all not gonna win the Masters. Trend number 2, the age window. 8 of the last 10 winners were between 27 years old and 36 years old. This isn't a young man's game. It's also not a retirement tour, despite the presence of Fred Couples. You're not betting potential, you're betting fully formed killers. That immediately wipes out a bunch of trendy names that people want to click on this week. For reference, Scottie Scheffler's first Masters and Tiger's last Masters are those 2 outliers. So Ludwig Oberg, Chris Goddard, Jacob Bridgman, Akshay Bhatia, Alex Noren, and Justin Rose launched. Trend the 3rd, Augusta is a memory test. Here's where people really mess up. Augusta is not a course you figure out in 1 week. None of the past 10 winners were debutantes. 9 of the 10 had at least 3 Masters starts. 7 of the 10 had 5 starts. There's a progression. You show up, you learn, you contend, and then you win. If a guy hasn't shown anything at Augusta before, chances are he's probably not going to figure it out on Masters Sunday. Using the 3+ Masters starts cutoff, we can now bid adieu to JJ Spawn and Ben Griffin. Not that you were picking them anyway. Trend 4, current form matters. No one's finding it at the Masters. 10 of the past 10 winners made the cut in their start entering. 9 of the top 10 had at least 1 top 10 in their past 3 starts. 9 of 10 had multiple top 10s entering Augusta. So when you see a guy coming in cold, you're betting on something that literally hasn't happened in a decade. That bumps out Scottie Scheffler, Victor Hovland, and Harris English. Also Hideki Matsuyama too, if he cannot rally to finish inside the top 10 at the Valero Texas Open. Trend 5, course history. Past success at Augusta? Massive. 9 of 10 winners made the cut the year before. 8 of 10 had a top 10 at a prior Masters, and 0 out of the 10 were the defending champions. Like the North, Augusta remembers, and it rewards the players who already know how to play it. If you're wondering who the guy was who missed the cut the year before winning, that was Patrick Reed in 2018. Cameron Young, Russell Henley, Seb Straka, and Robert McIntyre all missed last year's cut. They gone. The previous top 10 at Augusta, not enough time in the kitchen for Chef Min Woo Lee. And won a green jacket the year before. Sorry, you're not repeating, Rory. Trend 6, recent winning experience. 8 of 10 winners had already won that season or during the fall. And 10 out of 10 winners were top 30 for the year in strokes gained tee to green. Should have had that back injury, Justin Thomas. You didn't play enough to get the win you needed to win the Masters. Trend 7, USA, USA, USA. Now it becomes difficult to narrow down the finalists from 7 to 3, but I got a solution. 10 of the past 10 Masters winners had at least one start in the United States that year, and 10 out of the 10 did not withdraw in their previous start to the Masters. So now we can say goodbye to Bryson DeChambeau, Jon Rahm, Patrick Reed, and Colin Morikawa, which leaves us at the end of this cripplingly pedantic exercise. Only 3 golfers have a chance to win the 2026 Masters: Matt Fitzpatrick, Xander Schauffele, and Tommy Fleetwood. And if you really want to nitpick, 37 of the past 40 winners played at least one of the 2 weeks before the Masters, which drops Fitzpatrick and Xander from contention and leaves Tommy Ladd as your Masters champion. Spring's here, which means I'm trying to fix everything. Diet, schedule, clothing, but not sleep. Because honestly, that was the easy part because of HELIX. I used to deal with all of it. Waking up sore, overheating, feeling like I didn't actually sleep even after getting sleep. But since I switched to HELIX 2 years ago, that has all disappeared. I took the sleep quiz, I got matched to the exact mattress I needed, and it's been a legit upgrade. I fall asleep faster, stay asleep, and even my sleep tracker numbers look a lot better. More deep sleep, less tossing around. And if you want to get a free HELIX sleep mattress, just hit the description and find out how you can get into our Masters draw. HELIX is award-winning, ships straight to your door, and you get a 120-night trial to make sure it's right. Right now, their spring savings event is 20% off site-wide. So go to helixsleep.com/Mayo and upgrade your sleep. It's the easiest win you'll get all year. Thanks for indulging me as I went through that entire charade, but, I'm still going to bet a few long shots anyway, because it's me, and that's what I do, and I love burning my money. But thank you for tuning in so far. I hope you've enjoyed the content. And if you haven't enjoyed the Masters content so far, I hope you've at least clicked on that Masters content so I get credit for everything. But the more you can support the show, I'm doing that huge giveaway, $2,000 mattress, cash giveaway, golf balls, whatever else I can find to get from all my sponsors, I'm giving away to you guys. You can find out how to do that down in the description right now. We haven't even really hit real Masters week yet. Me, Jeff, and Cust on Monday, me, Tambo, and Blickle on Tuesday, Keith and I on Wednesday, live chat Wednesday night, round 1 recap on Thursday, cut sweats on Friday, round 3 recap on Saturday, round 4 recap on Sunday. It's going to be amazing. So please continue to support the show as much as possible. Every time that you can share something around, even if it's on X, it'll take you less than a quarter of a second to do that. It does go a long way. But I was really happy with how the research show that I did with Noonan ended up turning out. And I will have Dave Tindall on a little bit later on to talk through his trends article. You can just jump to that if you want to. But there was a few players in the player-by-player in the research show that we didn't get to that I did want to jump into now, just because there's a few guys out there that I do like. And let's take a look mainly at those guys. So we do not have, as of the time I'm recording this, we don't have the DraftKings price yet on Jake Knapp. Knapp will get reset on probably Sunday night or Monday morning. Once we know who the winner of Valero is, then they generally re-up on everyone. You can see right now that there's a bunch of guys in the field. Knapp, Nikolai Højgaard, Berger, Matt McCarty, and Gary Woodland all do not have a salary as of right now. They will get that on Sunday night or Monday morning. They don't want to update it twice. They just want to update it once. So, if Bobby Mack, as I'm recording this, or Ludwig ends up winning, hopefully Michael Kim can storm. Even though Michael Kim wouldn't change it anyway, because Michael Kim is in the field. Then they will update the DraftKings pricing. Jake Knapp is who I want to get to right now. It's Jake Knapp's second Masters. He's actually number 1 on the season in strokes gained total average. That is ahead of Scotty Scheffler is number 2 in that regard. Then it's Xander, then it's Minwoo. But number 1 is Jake Knapp. So you can see his Masters history on the year. T55 in his first start, lost off the tee, lost around the green, lost putting. This was 2 years ago. He is clearly a better player right now than he was 2 years ago. I will say, although he's been good across the board, you can't just be good at strokes gained total and lead everyone by only being good at one thing. It is interesting to see that his driving numbers have really dipped since the Genesis. So hell, even after Phoenix, he was gaining almost a stroke per round. We can look at these in total rather than average. And again, if you want to get in, there are 2 discounts actually at Betspertsgolf.com. Betspertsgolf.com/Mayo gives you 25% off the plan that you want to get. Mayo 10 as a promo code gets you a month for $10. So if you want to get the Masters all the way through the end of the month, Mayo 10 is the way to do it. And also getting the membership this week at betspertsgolf.com, getting the rabbit hole, gets you the 250 ballots in those draws. So they're very, very valuable here. But you can see coming in T6, his last time out at Houston, lost off the tee at the Players, lost off the tee at the Genesis, barely gained at the AT&T Pebble Beach. And previous to that, he was getting 4, 3, 1, 2, 3. Like, driving the ball is what Jake Knapp does well. So that is somewhat curious that his off the tee is dipping a little bit. Now, his approach play the last time we saw him, fantastic. Chipping, good enough. We know that he's not the best. He is not the best hands on tour, but he's not a disaster. He's either usually pretty good or really bad. Hopefully this veers on the side of pretty good. Unlikely because it's the Masters, but we have seen enough guys who suck around the greens be good at Augusta National for whatever reason. This is the very interesting part, though, which is why you see his results so far on the season. He has the one cut, that's at the Players' Championship. Every other of his 6 finishes are inside the top 11, 5 of them inside the top 10, including his last time out at T6 in Houston. It's the putting. 5, 6, 5, 5, 6, 4. He had the one blip. And if he had just putted that week in Phoenix, he probably ends up winning in Phoenix. But this feels unsustainable. Clearly, he's doing it every single week, gaining at least 5 strokes putting, but that just seems wild. Jake Knapp has never been this good on the greens in his life. I don't know if it's a new caddy reading the ball, if it's a new putter, if it's he just figured out how to do it. But you can see he's a good putter. But he's not a great putter. His first full season, that first year he made the Masters, he was slightly in the negatives. He was a slightly positive putter. He's gaining 1.29 strokes per round right now in his 26 rounds in 2026. That is impossible to keep going. So I do worry that his recent great results are more being floated by the putter than they have been by anything else. I don't hate Jake Knapp this week. I actually think he's a pretty good play, but it all depends on what his price is going to be. I'm not betting him to win the Masters, but there's a lot of guys I'm not betting to win the Masters that I kind of like this week. See, in strokes gained total, Scotty, Xander, Minwoo, we've already been over these guys. Let's go to Siwoo Kim. One of my favorites. Tends to make the cut almost every single year at the Masters. So let's check out Siwoo's Masters history. This is the best form he's probably ever had coming in to the year as a first-round leader or even just a make-the-cut type guy. You can see in 2017, his debut, he was cut at the Masters. That is the only time he has ever missed the cut at Augusta in his career. And it's strange because his best result was the Hideki year, 2021. He came T12 that year. He doesn't have any other finish better than T21, yet he has no finish worse than T39. So all of his finishes outside of one have come between the top 20 and the top 40. So maybe a fantastic top 40 bet, considering he's only never not done that once, and that was almost a decade ago at this point. But here's what's interesting. You see, Siwoo never lost strokes putting at the Masters. The Siwoo we know and love, he tends to lose strokes putting all the time. As you can see, there's a whole lot of red on this screen, and this year seems to be getting worse than anything else. Although when you see the rest of his numbers, they're all way above. This is the best driving year of his career to date. This is the best approach year, almost by double per round of any other year in his career. Even around the green, he's always one of the better touch and around the green players on tour. He's still plus 0.22, so almost a stroke gain per tournament. But this minus half stroke per round on the greens is his worst since 2015 when he made his debut as like a 17-year-old and only played 16 rounds on tour. That's not good, but everything else points to it. And considering he's never lost strokes putting, that top 30, that top 20, that's sort of the market where I'd be starting to look at Siwoo. Could I get sucked into betting him to win? Of course, it's me and it's Siwoo Kim. But would I recommend that to people? No, I wouldn't. But there's enough there that if he can just putt like he always has on these greens, he's pretty live considering he's number 1 tee degree on the season. Jacob Bridgman will be up next. Bridgman's having a fantastic season. Problem is, when we take a look at his Masters history, it's not good. As in, it's not existent. It's his debut at the Masters this time around, and he did bounce back. I want to say bounce back. He came T5 at the Players, although he had been 2 consecutive tournaments, Bay Hill and the Players' Championship, where he lost strokes on approach. Much like Jake Knapp, he is doing a lot of his damage through putting so far on the season. Even his win at the Genesis, 7.3 strokes. Not that he didn't do the other stuff well. His approach play was great. His driver was great. His driving has been really good, but we'll see how he's doing that. so far this year. We'll go to this year, and we can see his distance is actually down from a year ago. The driving accuracy is down. It's really strange when you take a look at it. His ball speed is up from last year, but he's hitting the ball to the right spots. He's not getting a ton on the field, like a quarter stroke per round. It's good when you're playing in a lot of elite fields and you're playing against the best in the world. Half stroke on putting. But again, like Jake Knapp, 1.34 strokes game putting per round. We've seen some guys show up to Augusta as debutants and absolutely light it up on the greens. Ludwig was a prime example of that. Will Zalatoris, another prime example of that. So maybe Bridgman can just go and be really good on these greens. I worry about his overall high-end upside, even as low debutant, because I don't think that the ball striking is starting to trend a little bit downwards again. So you can see it kind of peaked the last 16 rounds, the last 8 rounds. We're now back on the downswing with 2 pretty bad tournaments for approach play. Now, the rest of the year was good, and his last time we saw him, he was excellent, although the chipping was the chipping overall actually hasn't been very good so far this year for Jacob Bridgman, but the results most definitely had been there. If he was 3 years older and this was his third Masters, he would be like 13-1 to win this tournament, and people would be betting him. He's not, so it's going to be a more difficult circumstance. Nikolai, my guy Nikolai, who I bet every week, he does have those 2 top 3 finishes, so those have bailed me out and made him a positive player for me so far this season. I actually like his prospects coming in, because again, he's another one where if you just look at his straight numbers, he had 2 really bad tournaments. He still made the cut at the Players and the Valspar, but then he bounced back in Houston. I mean, that's the ball speed course, the most predictive there is. He's 5th in ball speed, that tracks, but his putter has been very good this year. He's very good around the greens, and in his Masters debut, he was in the lead on Saturday. He ended up coming T16. It all kind of went awry for him, but in his first start, he was able to chip it. He was able to putt it. I'm pretty sure that this approach play was more of the product of the weekend. Yeah, it was amazing the first 2 days, and then it kind of went to shit the rest of the week. But the driving was really good. I don't think I'm going to get there with him to win, but I do like him as first-round leader, first-round top 10. You'll get pretty juicy odds on that. They haven't released the first-round leader markets as of yet. However, you're probably going to look at like 70-1, 80-1 on him, and that's probably the market where I'd want to play him. I'm probably going to end up in the massive to make the cut parlay. I'm probably going to end up going on him as well. A few other guys that we can look at. Russell Henley is really limping into the Masters this time around. Now, last year, as we'll find out from Tindall a little bit later on, Russell Henley tied with Rory as the guy that fit the most trends to win last year. If you recall, what did Russell Henley, as a massive chalk DraftKings player, do at the Masters a year ago? Well, of course he missed the cut. Now, the ball striking wasn't bad. It was actually just chipping and putting that completely took him out of it. That was the first missed cut of his career at the Masters. He is a prime candidate, and he's missed the cut at Valero coming in, too. So that basically crosses him off every trend list, especially with the poor form coming in overall to win. But as someone to just kind of pop up inside the top 10, Henley kind of fits the role pretty well. He had played really well at Augusta previous to the past 2 years. He was T38 2 years ago, cut a year ago, T4, T30, T15, T11, and then 21st in his Masters debut. And it hasn't been as bad as maybe it seems. It got bad for Pebble Beach. When you're not the very elite players in the world, we expected this to happen to Spawn and Henley and Ben Griffin, the guys that had just never been there before, that don't have that elite skill set that really you're looking at, that have proven it over time. The results are most definitely there. He's got the top 10. He's going to have the miscut at the Genesis, miscut at Valero, but every other finish this year is inside the top 20. He only has these 3 tournaments where he lost strokes on approach, API, where he still came in 6th place in his defense, and then T19 at Pebble Beach. A lot of that was putting related, a lot of that was chipping related. He didn't really do all that much well, but I think that was more on the weekends. I feel like Saturday got to Henley. Yeah, it was. Saturday he was really bad at Pebble Beach. He was able to make up for it in round 2 because he made a ton of putts. His ball striking was terrible at Pebble Beach, but then it just got away from him in round 3. Rebounded quite nicely in round 4. I recall this because I bet on him to win that week. I bet on him there and Sony. He just had, he came T19 in both those starts. Sony probably should have went a little bit better because he gained so many strokes on approach that week. He doesn't have the typical skill set that you want at Augusta, but he is someone that can grind it out, and he's been there enough now over the years that he does know a few of the nuances. Clearly, he's familiar enough with the greens, and I just don't think that he's going to be very owned on DraftKings. Tambo, Alex, and I will break that down on Tuesday to see if that's actually true, for one thing, based on his projected ownership, and how he fits into lineup constructions, whether or not he's a play on or play off type of guy, but he'll probably be another one that ends up on the to make the cut parlay. Continue going down. Ryan Gerard is in the field. He's kind of given up on golf over the past little bit. We can take a look at Adam Scott, Akshay Bhatia, and yeah, hell, we'll take a look at Patrick Cantlay just for shits and giggles because he's always a fun name people like to look at. This is the Masters debut for Ryan Gerard. I wrote about it and spoke about it on the show last week that after getting cut in Houston, he immediately withdrew from Valero. He's just played a lot of golf, and he's been getting progressively worse as it's went along. No one's ever going to say he didn't put in the best effort ever to get into the Masters. He traveled to Delicious and Mauritius at Christmas time to get himself into the Masters. Big credit to go do that, to travel off the coast of Madagascar to play in a golf tournament, to win, or not to come in second place, to get yourself into the Masters. But he started off the year with back-to-back top 10s, then it was a T11, then 45th, 28th, 23rd. He was the favorite at the COG, still came 23rd, and a lot of it had to do with early on in the season, he was putting. I mean, he gained his first three starts and no finish worse than T11. Since we've gotten back into classic Ryan Gerard, who can't chip and can't putt. He was able to putt a little bit and chip at the Players. That went pretty well, T27. But the rest of the time is just limiting his upside overall. I think the break is good for Ryan Gerard, and I think that he'll end up coming back strong. I don't know if I love him in his Masters debut, however. Adam Scott, obviously, when I went through the trends, he got cut very quickly because he's 45 years old. But he is first-round leader for sure at the Masters because he just has immaculate ball striking coming in. He lost the driver a little bit at API in Players, but the approach play has been awesome all year long. And again, everyone will tell you this is a second shot golf course. He's gained at least 6 strokes on approach in each of his past 2 starts, and he only came 21st and 56th in both those events. The around the green and the putting has been atrocious. Outside of the 2 weeks, it wasn't, and he came 4th and T11 at elevated events. Other than that, it's been big time in the red all year long, while the ball striking has been positively in the green. I do think it's worth the chance that he can figure it back out. You can see his career at the Masters has been spotty. He is a former champion, so that's good news. He doesn't have a top 10 at Augusta since 2017. That's year that Sergio beat Rose in a playoff. His only other top 20 in that time frame is 2019 when Tiger won. And the good thing is he has gained around the greens in some of these years, 2 of the past 3 years. And last year was the first year he missed the cut, maybe in his career, or at least in 15 years was the first time he had missed the cut. So he's another one who was due to bounce back, but he has gained on the greens since they started tracking strokes gained at the Masters. Now, it was bigly in the negative a year ago, but only in 2022 was the only other year that he lost on the green. From 2019 on, he's always made enough putts to contend. It was actually the ball striking that did him in. Well, he comes in as one of the top 3 ball strikers on tour so far this season. Now, it's worth noting that his putting, well, just horribly bad so far this year, was on a 6-year run of him being in the positives until a year ago when it switched back to negative. For his career, a very good around the green player. So it's not crazy to think that he can get those 2 aspects of his game back together. Not to say that he's going to be the best in the field either. Just don't be massively in the negative. Let your ball striking help you through, and all of a sudden, Adam Scott's going to be in contention. Is he a bet to win? No. A top 5? Yeah. Top 10? Yeah. First round leader? He and Nikolai and my main man Akshay are probably the 3 that I'm looking at right now. Might do a little bit more digging later on to see if I can find one more. Only went with 2 last year. Fortunately, one was Justin Rose, and we all won a ton of money off that. Akshay, take a look at him. Everything lines up except for his age and the miscut potential because he just went to India to play in the Hero Indian Open and missed the cut at that course 2 weeks ago. I'm sure he's back in Augusta by now, but you can see year over year, he's just getting a little bit better. The ball speed is higher this year, but the accuracy and driving distance are down. But we did see him win at one of the longest courses of the year at Bay Hill, so I'm not really sweating it too much. We'll take a look at his history coming in here. So he was bad to start the year, like horrible. Between the American Express and Farmers, he got cut in both. Since since. Phoenix T3, Pebble T6, which he should have won. We all had money on him. The Genesis T16, won at the API with terrible driving that week. That was all chipping, putting, and pretty decent approach play. And then even at the Players, he was still T13, and the chipping was the only thing that held him back. He was one of the tops in the field driving and on approach. He gained 11 strokes ball striking. Then he goes over to India, so Lord knows what he's been up to. But he's been in the positive putting 5 consecutive events, positive on approach in 5 consecutive events, and the only time that he lost off the tee was minus 4.3 when he won at Bay Hill. That's also around the green has either been super high or super low. Hopefully he can figure that out for the Masters. I'm always rooting for Akshay. I think he's going to be very good at the Masters at some point in his career. Here would be the positive spin that I would put on Akshay. It is his 3rd time playing the Masters. That's when guys begin to get a little bit better. He's a lefty. That's always helpful. He has made the cut in each of his 2 starts that he has previously. But here's the big kicker. He's gained around the green both tournaments, and he's gained on the green in both. It's the approach play that has really just done him in. Minus 4.8 strokes on approach, minus 1.85 strokes on approach. I just told you he's one of the leaders in approach this year. Not that he isn't always, but this year has been more than anything else. We can see in the year by year. His approach play right now, 0.79 per round. That's the highest in his career by over, basically a quarter stroke per round over last year. And the ball striking, even better. Again, another quarter stroke better. His off the tee is a little bit lower. But that's really just due to one tournament where he sucked. Everything else has been very good for him in that regard, and the putting has been better than at any other point. And he's already proven he can putt at the Masters. So as the 66-1, I think a lot of people will talk themselves out of Akshay as we get closer to first tee. So I can see a world where he is a 60-1 first round leader. Maybe he ends up being an 80-1, maybe a 4-1. I guess what would that be if we divide that by 5? 8-1 for a top 5, something like that. Those are the markets where I'd like to play Akshay. I still like him on DraftKings coming into the week, and I'm just hoping that he gets overlooked by being out of sight and out of mind for the past little bit. Patrick Cantlay is up next because people will bring up Patrick Cantlay. Again, Tindall brings him up here in a minute as someone who actually fits the trends really well. Let's take a look at what's going wrong with Patrick Cantlay for the moment. So this year, what is wrong? Well, his approach play is way down. He was averaging over a half stroke per round on approach last year, and now it's 0.15 per round. So not even just over a half stroke per tournament when he ends up making the cut. His driving distance is significantly down. It's down from 297. It went from 303 to 299 to 299 to 297 to 288. And he's not like he's hitting more fairways because of it. He's at 60%. He was at 59 last year. His ball speed is at a almost career low for him at the moment. It is the lowest his ball speed has been since 2018. This leads me to believe that he's probably hurt. If I had to guess, it's also the first year of his career that he is in the negatives in putting since 2018. It's just not going well for him at the moment. If he has negative distance and bad approach, that's not leading, and he's not putting. I don't know who's betting on him at this point. Maybe this is a spot because he has had reasonable success at this tournament over the years that he can get it around. He's only ever lost on approach once in his career. He has one top 10 that came in 2019 where he briefly held the lead on the back 9 before all the leaders got to the par 5s and instantly passed him. I recall because I had a top 8 finish on him. Game T9. That happens. He's only gained twice on the greens at Augusta in his career. He's had some really bad totals. Like, his ball striking has always been really good. He only has one finish worse than 4.3 strokes gained ball striking in his career at Augusta. That's the year that he missed the cut in 2021. But his putting splits have been terrible. He gained last year 2.3 strokes, minus 2.7, minus 3.9, minus 5.5, minus 4.0. This is bad news. And he chipped himself out of the tournament last year to come T36. So between he and Henley, I don't mind his DraftKings plays based on the price and based on the ownership, but to try to squeeze them in, like to really talk yourself in and squint really hard at Patrick Cantlay this week to see if he can get himself across the line, don't love that as much for anyone. Sam Burns, we'll take a brief look at as well. He finished pretty high up at the U.S. Open a year ago. We'll take a look at his Masters history. He's just not someone I really ever consider. I think I've thrown him on a to miss the cut parlay more often than not. He made the cut last year and still lost strokes on approach, lost strokes around the green. He can't putt his way out of Augusta. That is one thing. Like some of the great putters, yeah, of course they're going to do well. But overall, the guys that get carried by their putter tend to see that neutralized at Augusta, only because the greens are so fast. You're going to have to make a bunch from deep. And if you're just not accustomed to doing it at this course, it's so much different than everywhere else. I mean, he's been brutal on approach each of the past 2 years, only made the cut twice in his 4 starts. So Sam Burns is probably someone that I'm not going to end up going to this week. If you want to dig into more players, run the simulations, all of the Valero information, of course, will be updated Sunday evening, Monday morning at the Rabbit Hole /Mayo at the end of BetspertsGolf.com/Mayo. Get you 25% off or code Mayo10 at BetspertsGolf.com will get you your first month for $10, depending on which one that you want to go to. So that was my player breakdown. Those were the trends. We have more trends coming up right after this with Dave Tindall, who writes one of the classic Masters Trends article that you read on the interwebs every year. Now he's here to talk with me. Stay tuned. Summer's almost here, which means you're either hosting people, pretending to know how to cook, realizing that your house hasn't been updated since Tiger Woods' first Masters win. That's where Wayfair comes in. Way Day is running April 25th through the 27th. We're talking up to 80% off everything with fast and free shipping. I went full upgrade mode. Cleaned up the space, added some modern pieces, got the patio ready for Sunday sweat season. And now it actually looks like not only one adult, but 2 and 3 kids live here at the moment and can have guests over. And it's completely safe in the backyard for those kids. If you're hosting or just want your setup to look better while you yell at your bets, this is the move. Way Day is the sale to shop the best deals in home. We're talking up to 80% off with fast and free shipping on everything. Head to wayfair.com April 25th through the 27th to shop Way Day. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home. Season's changing, which means I need to flip my entire wardrobe. And I looked at my closet and I started thinking, why do I own so much junk that I never actually wear? I've been trying to scale it back. Fewer things, but better stuff. And honestly, that's why I keep going back to Quince over and over. Their pieces just make sense. The fabric feels legit, real quality, not that fake premium marketing nonsense that they send me on Instagram. That stuff sucks. What you want is super breathable, really comfortable clothing that looks sharp without trying too hard. Even the Flow Knit activewear. That's the sneaky one for me. It's soft, moisture wicking, doesn't stink, and you can wear it all day and not feel gross, which is a big win for me. The kicker is the price. It's like 50 to 60% less than what you'd expect to pay for this level of quality because they cut out the middleman and go straight to the source. So you're not paying for a logo, you're paying for good clothes. Refresh your wardrobe with Quince. Go to quince.com/mayo for free shipping and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/mayo. Quince.com/mayo. All right, let's talk about something no one in endurance sports likes to admit. You can be training your ass off, cardio, stress, not recovering properly, and yeah, it can mess with your performance everywhere. Because it all comes back to blood flow. Most guys jump straight to pills. That's just treating the symptom. The real key is nitric oxide. That's what controls circulation, endurance, and yeah, performance. That's why Joy Mode actually makes sense. It's a natural booster that supports nitric oxide production, not the fake pixie dust stuff. Just tear open a packet, mix it like an electrolyte drink, and you are good to go. Use it when you need it, or use it daily to raise your baseline. Think of it like training. One dose helps, consistency changes everything. If you want to support sexual performance the same way you support training and recovery, naturally and intelligently, Joy Mode has a deal for my listeners. Go to tryjoymode.com/mayo or enter Mayo at checkout for 20% off. Joy Mode, the electrolyte packet for your dick. Dave Tindall is the trend master. He already has his article published up at Betfair. You do this every year. This has to be your most read column every single season because
Yes.
everyone I know reads it.
Yeah. I keep thinking there'll be better ones, bigger ones, more kind of complicated, complex ones, but mine sort of jogs along and people go, oh, we like that. And it seems to be, maybe because it's the Masters and people like something slightly, what they used to. So because it came along quite a while ago, this may be number 7 or 8. People just kind of remember it. Masters Week, oh, that Trends guy. Let's give him a read.
So in your mind, because I know that you break this down every week just like I do, and a lot of times we laugh at trends and things like that. Do you find it does have, obviously there is predictive value to it, but you could probably just say, give me the 10 best players in the field, and one of those guys is probably going to win too. Like, are you going to bet the guy that won in your trends this year?
Well, I think I am, because I think last year, when I came on and we chatted, I think Russell Henley came out top, and you looked me in the eye and you said, do you really think Russell Henley will win? And I sort of went, yeah. And I was thinking, but this year, John Rahm comes top, and I'm really happy that he's on top, because I just think he is. I like the idea of a repeat Masters winner. I think you get a lot of them. So he's been there and done it. And I kind of knew, because I never know who's going to come out on top, but I know that certain trends I kind of remember some. So I knew it would be tricky for McIlroy because he's defending champion. He hasn't won this year. I knew it would be tricky for Scheffler because he's done nothing in the last few weeks. What else did he? Well, he came pretty high, but he's done nothing in the last few weeks. And I knew there'd be somebody out there who would just kick on past those two. And even though they've drifted in the betting, I still think I'm happy to take them on, I think. And I was pleased that one of those, because if those two come out 1 and 2, it's a bit kind of, I feel a bit sheepish and a bit kind of, well, what was the point of that? But it's always more interesting when someone just a little bit lower down comes out on top.
So let people know, like, obviously they can go follow you on X, they can go to betfair.com, they can find the article up there, but let people know the main criteria of what you're looking for the trends.
Yeah, so I'm looking at world ranking, because it always goes to a top player. So I use the data golf ones because the real ones are a bit odd now with Liv. I use age as well, because it's been good for 20 something, and people can get a bit, age, what? But I still think the Masters generally is a young man's game, because it's elite. I know you need experience, but if you can get that in your early 20s and then build it, because those putts, those kind of shots that if you've lost your nerve over the years, I think you will start to find out. And sometimes you've had too much kind of scar tissue going on. So in the 20s helps. I think a big Masters finish always helps. The defending champion never wins unless he's Jack or Tiger or Faldo a long time ago. It's always good if you've got winning form this year. So again, McIlroy didn't have that. And the other one I really like as well is that you've had a top 10 in a major in the last couple of years. This plays out in all the majors, but it certainly does for the Masters. So I think we talked yesterday. I just chatted on. You said, "What's Akshay got?" And he didn't have any top 10s in a major. So it's that kind of base camp, isn't it? So I think a Masters winner tends to have kind of telegraphed what he might do. And then the other one that takes quite a lot of time is the stats, because we haven't got strokes gained, but we've got all the traditional stats. And when you go through every winner, or just about every winner, they've already done something that you need to do well at the Masters. They hit it long, hit it straight, be really good with the irons. You've got good scrambling figures. You putted the course well. So I think you do have to do everything pretty well at Augusta. And if you've done that before there, not necessarily in the same year, but just kind of, you did that well one year, you did that well in another year. So it's evidence that you've done all the things you need to do. Someone like Morikawa, he's never driven it far enough for a Masters winner. He's never putted well enough for a Masters winner. So although he ticks a lot of boxes, he's yet to do that on that course. So it's just kind of putting everything together, all those categories, how many times it's occurred in the last 10 years. And then it spits out a name and spits out lots of names that are familiar with, but it's just the order of them. And it's done well, to be fair, the last few years. McIlroy was joint top last year. Scheffler, I think he was, because he had a putt that got him in the top 10 the year before, he would have been top when he won in 24. Rahm had that weird 23. Rahm was top in every category. But if you remember 2023, he kind of had I think he won 3 times in the build-up, but early on, and then in the last few months, he kind of turned off. So that sort of hurt him. But generally, yeah, generally as a predictive tool, even though there are more flashy ones out there with models and everything, it still does quite well, this one.
Well, it's difficult with the live guys too, mainly because, like you said, you're using the data golf rankings for it instead of the official world golf rankings. But even just trying to get a good stat trend on what these guys are actually up to, like sometimes we think like in a weaker field, like if a great player like Scotty goes to the American Express and dummies the entire field, his stats are going to look amazing, but it's against the field, so he didn't really play anyone. How do we put anything into, like, Bryson's not even hitting his approaches that well on live versus that crew. Rahm is. His ball striking has just been immaculate. Bryson's been more driving and putting when you start to look at the data. But I just find that part is hard to parse. Like, it's helpful that there are so few live guys and only 2 really good ones. Then you have Hatton, then you kind of have the rest. But there's 2 that we know are really good. So using the world rankings or the data golf rankings, whatever it is, as long as those 2 guys are in it, then I feel like we just throw them into that mix.
Yeah, because I think of all the majors, this is the one that leans most on what you've done at this course before. So it kind of doesn't, as long as they're kind of alive and are doing something pretty good on live, I don't really need to drill down into exactly what, because I'm putting more weight on what they've done at Augusta before. So somebody like, Joaquin Niemann, when he's gone to Augusta loads of times with great form, but he's done nothing there. So, and so it played out that because he didn't have that kind of history and background at Augusta, he came out poorly in the trends. So whatever he was doing on live. So yeah, live used to be an annoyance for me in terms of this. To begin with, because I thought they've ruined the world rankings. But to be honest, that's the only thing I'm kind of, and that's been because of data golf. That's kind of been ironed out, that little problem. So it's more what they've done here. It's the fact that as long as they've had a win on live. I mean, a win on live is something, right? So as long as they've got that to me, that still counts. It's still that feeling that you've won. Even though maybe, the field wasn't the best, but you could argue the strength of a live field or not. But yeah, so when you ask, like, well, is Deshaun hurting his eye? It doesn't bother me. I'm presuming he is, because what's important to me in this article is he's got that bank of Augusta history and he's done well there before. I just think it's a weird one-off tournament, isn't it, where you lean so heavily on what's gone in the past. And I think it gets in the players' heads what's gone on in the past. So they kind of know, all right, Tiger's won this X amount of times. Arnold Palmer won it, Phil Mickelson. Yeah, there's a lot of repeat going on in people's heads. And until you join that club where you've had a big finish, I think you're kind of a bit of an outsider looking in on it. So yeah, the guys that have done well there before, they're always going to come out well on these trends.
Who were the names that creeped into the top 5 or top 10 that actually surprised you when you did the list out?
I don't think they surprised me, but Tom Young coming second in the trends.
That makes sense, though. He has the Augusta, like he has the 2 top 10s at Augusta. He just won the Players. It makes sense for him to be really high.
Yeah, maybe just not second. I thought maybe he'll be 6, and that's quite good. But to be second, considering he's knocking down McIlroy and Scheffler and Xander, so he's beaten a lot of players into second place. So that I was surprised at his highness, but not necessarily the fact that he's in the top 5. I'm just looking now on that. Henley's looking there again.
You love Henley. He's your favorite. You think that Henley's the best player on earth. I get it. You just try to squeeze him in wherever you can.
So this is the numbers. So yeah, I kind of not anymore. Not although he had a good second round, didn't he, last year? But he blew it in round 1. I suppose I'm looking at my list, so it's over my head. Cantlay, I thought Cantlay would be nowhere, but he's quite high relatively. I think he's in the top. Yeah, he's joint with Matsuyama and Schauffele. I don't quite know why, but he is.
Trying to think of what he's done recently. Like maybe I'm just misremembering. The last like good major performance I can remember him having was at Pinehurst when he finished behind Bryson and Rory.
Yeah, so that'll count for him. So he'll get the good. You've done well in a recent major odds. So score. He's got a top. What's he got there? He's made a good number of starts there. He's the stats thing. He's done all the things you need to do well. So one year he's driven it along, another year he's driven it straight, another year he's irons well. He's putted these greens well before, so he has done it just in different years. And there's also one which I'm a little bit kind of is the last year trend where if you finish in the top 10 the year before, that goes against you, which seems a bit counterintuitive, but I still do think with the Masters, there's this thing where you play well one year and then maybe you dip and then come back the next year. Everyone knows that with the defending champion because Scotty and Bubba, Phil, back to Arnold Palmer, and I don't know if this theory has much water, but because you're the defending champion, all eyes are on you. What are you cooking? What are you going to stand up and host all this? It's just more noise in people's head. So I do quite like the idea that someone has a slightly off year and then they're kind of ready to come back and really get after it the next year. So someone like Rahm, I think he was 14th last year, pretty good, but still enough to make him hungry on his return this year. So he scored good points in that. But yeah, Cantlay's a bit of a surprise, but not that I'm going to back him, of course.
No, I'm not going to do it. Who are you going to back, do you think, but beyond Rahm? Because I have three guys that I'm just laser focused on right now. I want to see if we match up at all.
So I've got two anti-post or futures, you call them. So the two I've got in the bag already. Patrick Reed at 66. I've got him when he was doing well in Europe when it wasn't being noticed particularly on the DP World Tour. And then I got Rose halfway through Torrey Pines. I got him at 45. So I don't know, what are you saying on Rose now? 28, 30?
Yeah, 28, 30. He'll drift back. He'll drift back down now, though, because he's had a bad cut. His players wasn't even bad. It's just he's been out of sight, out of mind since that.
Yeah. The other one this year, which has caused a bit of a chat on X and everywhere, has been the fact that so many of these guys haven't played for a while. So I can't remember. I should really credit who said it first, but somebody noticed that most of going back a long time, 20 years, had played at least once in the 2 weeks before.
Yeah, the last guy who didn't was Adam Scott in 2013.
Yeah. Did Tiger though?
See, this is what I thought too, but apparently the match play was 2 weeks before the Masters that year.
See that kind of breaks that. I mean, he played it, whatever. I don't know what he did in that. I think he might have come.
I remember. I feel like I remember this off the top of my head. I think he made the quarterfinals and he lost to Thorbjorn Olesen.
Yeah, so he's going down as a T5, isn't he, on that kind of system? But yeah, I don't know. It's difficult to punish players for sort of doing nothing. They've done nothing wrong.
No,
not like underperformed. But I suppose someone who was really attached to that trend would say, well, some of my trends are a little bit flaky. What about this one, Tindall? Come on. And I would go, I don't know. Maybe I think I did look if I did add that. So that knocks Rahm down. That would knock Cam Young down. I think the one who maybe pops up a bit further would be Morikawa.
But not even Morikawa hasn't played in a month now.
But he's playing now, isn't he?
He withdrew.
Of course, yeah. So
Fleetwood would be like the best of this.
Tommy Fleetwood, yeah. So there's actually, if Fleetwood wins this week, he would actually go joint level with Rahm on the point system. But then in a kind of balance to this. You haven't played a long time. It doesn't. If you've won the week before, that's no good for the Masters. I think Phil did it in 2006 when he won the Bell South. You remember that tournament? But generally, yeah, if you win the week before the Masters, it's almost like you've used up. You often hear players saying, "Oh, I got there on Sunday." Maybe first timers or guys who play once. I got there on Sunday and I kind of blew myself out because it took so much kind of mental capacity to take it all in. So I think that the smarter, I was reading some Cam Young quotes. He was saying, I think on his first visit, he just got there too early, and by the time it was Thursday, he was just kind of done, or not as sharp as he could have been. He was out on his feet. So I think a break before the Masters is quite good, but you can argue how big a break.
Well, you can argue how big a break. It's just that most guys do play in that 2-week window before.
Yeah.
So it's not like we have a whole lot. Like, just think about the names that have won the past 10 years at Augusta. They're all the very best names, and they've played in that window. So now they're not playing in that window. I don't see it as a big deal at all.
Well, why? I don't quite know individually why. Well, why is, you're a Canadian, why isn't Corey Connors playing?
I couldn't figure it out. It's the first question that I asked my research show last week. It's like, why isn't Corey Connors in this field?
Yeah. Because you would have thought he's never going to win the Masters, is he? But he's always going to, he's got every chance of finishing 8th and 6th and 10th. And he thought, well, that's quite a winning form. Maybe he thinks, I just need to tweak this one thing and not play, and then I'll win. But he won't win, will he? He can't win.
Well, he's won twice in his career, and he just skipped the tournament where he's done it twice.
I know, it's very odd, isn't it?
I thought it was strange. So ideally what we'd like to see from Valero is Robert McIntyre comes 7th, and then he kind of vaults up, doesn't he?
He would go up, yeah. Because he's kind of hovering around the top 10.
Yeah, because he'll have had, like, he just had a top 10 at the Players. He has another top 10 at Sony. He was 2nd at the U.S. Open last year.
Yeah.
He's entering that prime age. I think this will be his 5th Masters.
Yeah, he's in his 20s. Really good result. Still in his 20s, which not many are these days.
And he's lefty. That has to help.
The lefty argument, yeah. But he could be one who, when I write my preview, I mean, there's a trends preview, then I write my own preview on the Monday. He's one who could sneak into that. But what odds have you got on him?
I see as high as 50-1 right now.
Really? 50? Wow. Is that win only?
Win only, yeah. No places.
Yeah. Well, obviously with that US Open, he came off the course. He kind of clapped, didn't he? Clapped JJ Spawn, because I think there was a feeling that went into him that, right, I can win one of these now. And I think there's to me, I was a little bit surprised he did so well there, because I always think he would be an Open and a Masters guy. I always think you twin those two, Open and the Masters, as kind of, you think of Seve and Faldo, they only won those because you've got a bit more room off the tee, and you can be a bit more creative in those two. So I think, and McIntyre's obviously beaten great fields in the Scottish Open. He's won the Canadian Open, hasn't he? Yeah, he's got to have a good chance. So yes, something quite nice without ruining his price, like a backdoor top 10 maybe.
That's ideally what I would be looking for here. But for me, like the 3 that I've been hammering down on, and I have the boost right now. If you're in Canada outside of Ontario, you can get it until Monday morning. It will be up there as a Masters future. Xander Schauffele 27-1 to win the Masters. Now his real price is going to be around 16, 17, 18. But I really like how Xander rates out. He's been on the door. He's been close. He's a lot like Seb Straka in a weird way, where he's been putting together 3 really good rounds and then 1 terrible round that takes him out of contention. I like to call it Tommy Fleetwood syndrome, but at least I've seen him get over the line twice in 1 year, 2 years ago. I'm writing off most of what he did last year as he was hurt.
Yeah, and he did win in Japan, didn't he, at the end of the year? So it's not like he's forgotten what to do. He's obviously not come out higher because he's not going to win this year on these trends, which most of them have. And I've seen quotes from him before. He says he never really plays well anyway in the first few months of the year. He comes alive after that. And yeah, I do like the idea that when you become a major winner, you bunch them. If you look at if you go on Wikipedia and you look at the ones of the great players, they're all sort of fairly tightly bunched. You think of Spieth and Mickelson; they're all kind of there. You get
Patty did the same thing.
Yeah, DeChambeau's got a couple there. Yeah, Harrington's a good one. So he would fit that one. I do like the fact that he's done that because, I think he's got another one in him. I think he's another one who just believes he can win there. Whether he's just slightly there this year, I slightly don't know. But so you've got him, you've got Xander, you've got who else did you say?
And I have the future on Fitzpatrick at 110 to 1 from before the year. So that's my big bet that I have going into the Masters.
So do you think he can really win now, or just
I do
really well? Actually, I do. Yeah. I think he's got everything that you need.
I need it all to align on the same week. Even when he won at Valspar a few weeks back, it's not like his putting was immaculate. He made the 2 putts that mattered the most. But if he had just putted any bit better in each of the first 3 rounds, he doesn't have to make those putts. He's just winning by 7 strokes. His tee to green has been so good. And his putting history at Augusta has been up and down. Just hopefully it's one of those years where it's up.
And you think the Masters gods will allow someone who chips wrong-handed to win?
I don't see why not.
I don't know. I mean, it's what a time for the Fitzpatrick family with Alex winning on the DP World Tour. Maybe it's just their time. I've got a friend who knows their dad. They used to work with their dad, and they are just one of these lovely, lovely families who you could only wish good things on. I don't know. Maybe I'm judging slightly older Matt Fitzpatrick, who didn't quite have the length or the high ball flight, and I don't know. He's just maybe a tad below on all the categories.
Yeah, well, the height still isn't there for him, but the driving distance is most definitely there for him now. And he has this stock. It's not a stinger; it's just a line drive, but he just hits it down the middle every time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just got a feeling with him, he'll be like, there's some players who I just can't quite see getting there. Like Kenny Perry kind of thing, who does so many good things, but just is a notch below someone you might call a bit of a genius, maybe. I'm getting a bit kind of romantic with all this idea because not everyone who wins the Masters is a genius, but I don't know Matt Fitzpatrick. I just think he'll come second or third, but he won't win.
He has a U.S. Open to his credit.
Yeah, but he won that way. Brookline anyway, he won the US Amateur. I don't know whether it's just. I was going through all Fitzpatrick's quotes today to see if he'd ever said anything like, "Oh, this might be a bit tough for me because of the height thing." I remember Steve Stricker saying about himself, saying he could never quite get there in the Masters because you had to land it in these particular portions of greens from a big height. And he was never quite going to hit it that high. I don't know. I mean, what's his best 7th there, Fitzpatrick?
I think that was his first Masters. It was the Willett Masters. I remember seeing him creep up and up and up. Basically what he needs, and he doesn't need it, but would play to his advantage, just like it did to Willett and Spieth and some of those guys who were up, like Soren Kelson was up there that year as well, is that we got a ton of wind on the weekend, and he was just able to play much better than the field in those conditions.
And have we seen a long-term weather forecast?
Not yet, no.
No. Yeah, so
I like the windy Masters. I hate the rainy Masters.
Yeah, so Rahm. See, the Rahm one, I was in. I'd taken my kids to Tokyo that year and didn't see it, so I just kind of caught bits. But that was really rainy, right? That Masters.
Yeah, it was super soggy, and they pushed almost all the final round. Well, all the final round plus the end of the third round into Sunday. So I think Rob played 27, 28 holes on that Sunday. Brooks, Cantlay, and Sam Bennett.
Yeah. So that one's slightly kind of, I've got a bigger grip on that one as as some of the other ones. But I don't know. I always think there's some Masters winners who are only ever going to be one-time Masters winners, like Daniel Willett or Zach Johnson. I just think Rahm has just got he's going to be a multiple Masters winner. And I think it's got to come, it will come sooner rather than later. And he's had this big row, hasn't he, with his payments, I just think you could go two ways with that. It could get under his skin, and I just think there's something about the Spanish blood. He'll just fire him up, and he'll just go, right, this is me. I'm going to show everybody the value of me. So yeah, I do love him this week, I have to say.
All right. Thanks so much for joining the show.
Thank you, Pat. Enjoyed it.
And that'll do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Want to thank all of you for watching. Want to thank Dave Tindall and everyone who's appeared on the show so far in the pre-Masters Week comment. Michael Kim, Noonan, Vincenzi, Feinberg, all here. Hope you enjoyed those shows as we start to really get into the grips of Masters Week. Everyone's probably favorite show of the year, Masters Monday, with me, Cust, and Jeff. We'll be out probably by noon Eastern, hopefully earlier on Monday, so stay tuned to that. Enter that draw for the mattress. All that information's down in the description. Smash a like and sub to the channel while you're here, and tell some friends. Share the show around. Help us out, because this is our biggest week of the year, and the more support we can get, the more appreciated it is, and the more it helps keep everything free on the Pat Mayo Experience, and that's the way that we always want to keep it, okay? Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!